there's another way to end a loop that is also useful for different reasons. And this code actually does the same thing. But what we've got here, you'll notice, is a while true, which is an infinite loop. So it'll go forever. And we're starting with x equals 1. And we're adding 1. And then we're saying it's still true. Because it is. While is always true. But if x is equal to 4, then we're going to break. And anytime you have a break keyword that is executed, so this only gets executed if x is equal to 4, but anytime you have break in your code, it will break out of the innermost loop. So if this loop is inside another loop, it still only breaks out of the innermost loop. If you have the break keyword and you're not in a loop, you will get an error because it doesn't make sense to do that. So instead of this, if I go back to this and I say if int counter equals 4, no, I'm not going to answer my phone in class, then we are going to break. Somebody's really trying to get through to me right now. All right, there we go. So if int counter equals 4, then we break. Oh, I should probably increment it because otherwise it's not going to. Int counter plus equals 1. Okay, so this is going to print something, and then it's going to check and say, is this 4? Is it 4 yet? And if it is, then it's going to break. If it's not, it'll just keep going. And then it'll add 1 to it, and then it'll go back to the top, because that's what happens when you reach the bottom of an indented code loop block. You're going to go back to the loop, and it's going to say, oh, is it still true? Yeah, it's still true. So print it. And then we check the condition. We say, is the counter equal to 4? If it is, we break. If not, we add 1 to it. We're going to keep going until we reach 4. Okay, in which case it breaks. Now I have to be careful because I have to be careful that I'm checking for the right condition, because in this case, I missed 4, didn't I? Because it was never equal to 4. It went from 3.2 to 4.2 and passed it right up. So if I want to be safer, I would just do this. Then I'm checking for it to be greater than 4. And then after it reaches 4.2, it breaks. So you need to think about what are the conditions and what are the numbers that I can encounter here, because sometimes you get unexpected things and there are things that are safer than others. So break is another way to end your loop. With break, if there is code in the loop after this, it gets ignored. It will stop right here. Whatever's in that loop, it stops it. So it's not going to finish. If there's more code after this in that loop, not going to finish it. Just important to remember, because this one is going to be the same.